And again here, Bitcoin news at Unconfiscatable Conference, this time with Guy Swan. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Excellent. Yeah, it's always great to be around Bitcoiners. And for those who don't know you...
Bitcoiners are losers. This is a terrible place to be.
Somebody that doesn't know, we have an audience that is maybe not as familiar with the Bitcoin core community. So can you introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Guy Swan. I host a podcast called Bitcoin Audible. I am the guy who has read more about Bitcoin than anybody else you know. How much stuff have you read? To prove that as far as like articles and reports, like on the podcast, I think I'm at 600 and something, and then I've got
episodes or
600
pieces.
Specifically reads.
Right.
Episodes,
yeah.
Including like interviews and guys' takes and stuff. It's like 750ish. And then I've got like...
And those are only those you produced, so you had read...
There are others that are sitting or lost.
Yeah.
And then I've got like 14 audiobooks now. Still a couple to be released, like Magic Internet Money, Bitcoin and the American Dream. Those are hopefully soon.
Okay. Did you is there any Bitcoin book that you haven't time to read yet?
I have not read Kiara Bicker... is that the last name? The Bitcoin Clarity. Haven't read that one yet. There's a number of them. There are a lot of other like crypto or blockchain oriented Bitcoin books. I haven't read what is it? Bitcoin Billionaires? Am I confusing that title? There's definitely a handful. I mean, there's a shit ton to read.
So
it's what I do all day.
And you've done it for how long?
The show specifically, all the reading for 3.5 years.
Okay. 3 years ago, was there that much content like today?
No.
So it was easy. Your job was easy.
The job was much easier. I would just read like the next big article about Bitcoin. Of course, it was picking up. It was picking up pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But we were also in like the 2018 bear market. It was like just after the 2017 crash, so everything was calming down. So it was the perfect time to start it. Now I can't keep up with shit.
Yeah.
Like I'll plan to do 5, and then I'll have 12 that I plan to do after I get 3 done. Like it grows way faster than I get it done.
Yeah.
But
you need to hire.
Basically.
Hire some nice radio voice.
Yeah.
You should. How do you manage your time? How do you keep productive? How do you do that?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Stay off of Twitter. That's a big one. So I actually got like the Twitter Pro or whatever. It's like $2 or something like that. But it allows me to look at articles and stay away from all my other notifications. That is a big one because Twitter is a time suck like nothing else. And then just sitting down and making sure I start a recording before I get into any other process. Because if I'm like partway through something, it's way easier to just go back and continue. But if I don't start until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's gonna be another 3 hours before I get started. You know, like I'm always distracted. But just rhythm, just habit. Just sit down in front of the mic.
What did you do before that?
So the job I quit to go full-time Bitcoin Audible was internet technician. And I was moving towards like systems administration in Linux. That's what I thought I was going to do. And then I did a podcast for a year just kind of in my spare time. And I don't know, it grew an audience. And then it just kind of started working. And I was like, well, fuck, the only reason I want to do Linux admin is because it's something I'm decent at and it would pay money. But if Bitcoin Audible is going to work, Bitcoin Audible.
Yeah. And I think it is taking a risk. I mean, making money.
Yeah, I wasn't.
How did you decide that?
Honestly, it was a large part my wife. She had a big part of it because I wanted to pretend that I was still looking for another job, but
you weren't interested in Bitcoin too much.
I would go like a week and I just like wouldn't apply, and I clearly did not care. It was just the thing that I had to do to make everything else keep going. And I just wanted to do Bitcoin shit every day.
So you just started
downloading apps and playing, and did Bitcoin Audible for a year where it was like 100 people listening to it, but it's just like, I don't know, what else am I gonna do? I just read Bitcoin all fucking day, right? And then my wife we were in this like weird spot where we were trying to decide where we were going to go from here. And we kind of had like a real serious heart to heart. And she was just like, listen, you don't want to fucking do anything else. You know, like you clearly just do Bitcoin all day, every day. Like if you're not gonna look for it, let's quit pretending and just fucking go hard. Like just go all in, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, fuck it, we're fine. You know, and it worked. She actually quit her job 6 months ago, and now both of us are full-time Bitcoin Audible.
Oh wow! Yeah. How long did it take so you could live from it, or like see that it had traction and like you could take some revenue?
Year and a half. Basically, my patrons kept me alive because it would just be like a stream of like $100 or $150 or whatever a month, and that was just like reassuring. It was just like, well, shit, you know,
there are some people that care.
They're sticking around. They're here. You know, they love the show, and then I had like a partnership with Anchor. They had like built-in ads thing, which was iffy because there were like some shitty ads for like companies I was not so much for, but as long as it wasn't in my voice, I didn't feel too bad about it, because then it's like, I'm not telling you to buy this thing. And that started making like a couple $100 too. And then at how
many viewers through Anchor did you generate then?
Probably 2,000-ish
per episode.
Probably somewhere around there.
What's your most successful piece right now?
Right now, what's the most recent?
I think the most prominent certainly is like the collaboration with Knut van Holm and obviously Saifedean Ammous, right?
Yeah. Saifedean's book has sold a lot. Layered Money with Nick Bhatia, that's a good fucking book. That sold really well for audiobooks. For episodes, Bitcoin First, the Fidelity Report, that one's doing really, really good. And it's also a really good introduction piece too, like just to kind of get an idea of thinking about how to think about the space, and that like Bitcoin is kind of the foundation. And if you want to even think about crypto, understand Bitcoin first, or you're going to get lost immediately, and you're going to invest in dog shit, not even understanding why it all exists to begin with. But yeah, those are probably the top ones.
And how did it change you personally? I think many Bitcoiners would agree that like spending so much time with that space it has an impact.
Yeah, I'll tell you probably the biggest change was getting shit done. I'm a personality type that just loves to jump to the next thing, and so I've for the vast majority of my life I was in this zone of 60%, 70% finished projects, and I would never reach conclusion. And I basically wouldn't stick with anything. Whoa, your hat. I basically wouldn't stick with anything because it would interest me while it was new, and there was something to figure out. And then after I felt like I figured it out, I wanted to just go to the next thing that I had to figure out, rather than do finishing touches on the stuff that I thought I'd already sorted, right? I don't know what it is about Bitcoin Audible. I think, I actually had a conversation with somebody about it not too long ago. I think it might be like kind of the micro feedback of like, I can do an episode in a day. Like I can just record and then have it published. So I get the reward of having a project and then it builds over time. Whereas like if I was doing like some documentary or whatever, it's like committing a whole year before I even have anything that feels like a conclusion, you know? But that's what I'm working up towards now that I've managed to put 4 years into this thing. I feel like I'm ready to get back into film and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk maybe about value for value a little bit. So are you streaming some of your content through value for value apps?
Yeah. I actually just talked with Tim from LNPay, and we moved it from my Sphinx. I have a node with Sphinx, and I moved it to my Umbral node, and just started getting a bunch in from Fountain actually just the other day. So
you just started with it, really?
No, I've been doing it for a while, but I just wasn't getting notifications of it. I would just go back to Sphinx and I would have a balance, you know? But I definitely have, it's not much because I haven't devoted a lot of time to focusing on it. What I am trying to do, which is surprisingly difficult to do simply, every time I do it, I fight with it for 3 hours and I don't find the solution I'm looking for, and then I procrastinate for another 2 weeks and fight with it for 3 hours again. But I want to have an ad-free version. I want an ad-free version of the show.
So it's paywall or subscription-based, or?
Well, just value for value. They can donate whatever they want,
yeah.
but they're getting something out of the fact that they're they don't have to listen to ads. You know, if somebody's paying 20 sats a minute, they should get it ad free.
Yeah.
You know, but it means I have to set up an RSS feed, a separate RSS feed for the show. It's A, private, and then B, I have to re-edit all my stuff without the ads and like.
So right now you have sponsor ads in between the show. Okay.
Yeah. It runs off of sponsors right now, but I would love to just. I mean, if value for value really caught on, I'd love to do it ad free. You know, I mean,
are you optimistic about that? It will catch on.
Yeah. Particularly with talking to Tim, he was talking about like as running Ellen Pay, he has a lot of people plugged into it. He was just like raving about it. It's like the traffic has exploded. And I've been kind of iffy about it. I almost feel like a simple subscription model of like $2 a month or something might work better. But I don't know. Streaming sats is pretty cool too, and you get like direct feedback of people specifically listen to this section of the show, or they boosted at 29 minutes and 30 seconds. Like 10 boosts is like, oh, what the fuck did I say? You know. So there's a lot of great feedback in the value for value model. So it might stick around. I don't know, but either way, I just want to serve it up ad free for Lightning.
Awesome. So you've become a brand now, like a voice brand. You're the narrator of Bitcoin. At least so far, you're like there's no one like you so far. Do you encourage people stepping in your footstep and like trying it as well?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I've actually blasted out a couple people who've tried to do like a sister show. One dude, I think he's done like 20 reads, Spanish version of the show. Somebody else I talked to today is looking to do another Spanish version of Audible. I mean, I don't own the idea. I'm just fucking narrating articles, right?
Are you ever getting tired of it?
There are days where I feel like I'm saying the same shit over and over again, but not really. Not really. You know.
Is it possible, like, if you read to your children, for instance, like you could actually just let it play, right? Like the replay.
Yeah. No, that was actually one of the ways the idea for the show started. Is I used to read. Well, I still do. In fact, we're reading a book right now. But I read to my wife.
Yeah.
So while she's like doing stuff, I'll just sit down and we'll read like a fantasy novel. Like we're reading The Name of the Wind right now by Patrick Rothfuss. I love that book. It's like the 5th time I've read that book. But I'll just sit down and read it, and then she'll like cook or clean shit or whatever. She's like, I'll trade you. Like, you know, you don't have to do the dishes if you read. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll do that.
So you've read it all, Guy, and you probably are one of the most knowledgeable persons in that sense that you are just so much deeply immersed in all the books and all the content and all the discussion. So what's your right now? I think that, your take on Bitcoin changes, like knowing Bitcoin, not knowing Bitcoin, knowing that you don't know. But like at this stage in life, what's your quintessence? What excites you about Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin? I don't know. It's late in the day now, but maybe you come up with something smart.
So, Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin is money. And I think that is difficult for most people to wrap their heads around because we don't generally have the slightest clue what money is. Money is really just a promise. It's kind of a promise that we all agree to use because the promise is secure. It means something. You know, like if I save $10,000 by working a whole bunch and not spending it, it means that I have stored $10,000 worth of favors for other people, and I have not consumed it. I've produced, like, if it's sandwiches and I make $1 off of every sandwich, I've produced 10,000 sandwiches at consumption of 0. So society owes me back that 10,000 sandwiches because that's what I fucking did for everybody, right?
You could spend it all on a car.
Oh yeah, you could spend it on anything, but it owes me back the value that I have produced into it. It's a promise for society to give me back what I have already done in the past. It's just a record of history. But fundamentally, that promise is being cheated. Like, disgustingly. There's a whole political class that just gets to eat everybody's fucking sandwiches and do nothing for it. We printed $6 trillion out of thin air. That's $6 trillion worth of sandwiches, worth of late nights, worth of, getting our kids braces instead of going on vacation. Like all of our trade-offs, our hopes and dreams, our skills that we have devoted to this just ripped out from underneath us. $6 trillion, the average American makes $2 million over their lifetime. To print $6 trillion in a year is to take every meaningful decision that they have made in the economy of 3 million people from birth to death and just deleting it. They didn't fucking matter. Their lives, their hopes, what they plan to do, where they put their money, when they bought an Android instead of an iPhone or an iPhone instead of an Android, fucking meaningless because the government just printed a whole bunch of money and gave it to whoever the fuck they thought deserved it. And that's messed up. That's messed up. Society doesn't work like that. It needs to be fixed. And Bitcoin is a promise that can't be cheated. And I think the ultimate network effect and the pull, as people begin to figure that out, as they feel the difference between a Bitcoin standard and a dollar standard, it takes a long time. Monetary transitions historically take like a century. We have the internet. It's going to take like 30 years this time, I suppose. But it's going to change everything. It's not a small shift. It makes a difference everywhere.
Beautifully said, guys. So kids, as you could tell, I think reading about Bitcoin makes sense, but also talking about Bitcoin with the experience. So that was a beautiful ending. Thank you so much for your work, and wish you the best.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sure. Appreciate it, man.